The Earley Show is brought to you by our friends at Answering Legal. For more than a decade, attorneys have trusted Answering Legal's 24/7 virtual receptionist service to keep their phones covered and their clients cared for. Now, they're raising the bar with an AI-powered intake chatbot, live translation services in over 180 languages, and 76 seamless tech integrations. Answering Legal's goal? Make running a law practice simpler while helping you capture every new client opportunity. And don't worry, the receptionist team is still the best in the business at turning first-time callers into loyal clients. Find out what's possible by visiting answeringlegal.com. You'll find a link to the site in the description of this episode. Now, let's get to the show. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Earley Show, sponsored by our friends over at Answering Legal. I am your host, Chris Earley. I'm an injury lawyer in Boston, and as you know, on this show, The Earley Show, we bring on the very best in the legal industry, and today we have a treat. I believe this is the first guest ever in Massachusetts, so this is a big deal.
That's awesome.
It's also 6:30 in the morning, so my guest and I are truly getting after it while many people are probably sleeping. So I don't know what that says about us, but it's all good. So we have Benny Gold on the show today. Benny's the guy who I've gotten to see a lot in the past few years. He's definitely getting after it. He's a very good connector of people, and he's created a movement which is very worthy of respect and admiration. So we're going to learn a lot from Benny today. So I'm excited. Benny, welcome to the show. How are you, man?
Chris, thank you so much. So much to say here with that. You said 6:30 in the morning. You're true. This is truly the Earley Show.
We don't mess around, Benny.
So, and you know, another thing is I am in Massachusetts, and yeah, it is difficult to sort of. A lot of my guests are not from Mass. A lot of the people I feature are not from Mass, or I didn't go to law school with. So us Massachusetts people, we got to stick together, man.
Especially Celtics fans, right?
So it's a pleasure to be on here, and you know, this is like, I think of this as like one of those podcasts where I'm a podcast host, and like I feel like I should flip it around and interview you because honestly, your story is incredible. Like you were, by the way, on episode 133 of the Lawyer Stories podcast. If anybody wants to look it up, Chris shares a story. It was incredible. I think it aired March 28th, 2023. So that was really cool where Chris and I connected. He shared a story, an incredible story. And this is the last thing I'd say, but this book, Scaling the Wall, this is something that, you know, you guys should check out. Great book. I'm telling you, like, you know, Chris, and I'm going to shout out our mutual friend, a good friend of mine who's become a good friend, Neil Goldstein, have incredible stories. They've written great books. Anyway, thanks for having me on, Chris. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for your kind words. I'm wearing my guy Neil Goldstein shirt. His podcast,
there it is.
One Lawyer. So
awesome. Yeah. You know, we got to stick together.
He's the man.
Good.
Neil's the guy.
He is.
So as I said, I wanted to get you on because you're doing big things. You got this Lawyer Stories movement that you started from zero, from scratch. So before we get there, right, for anyone not familiar with your story, right, could you tell us a little bit about coming up, you know, influences growing up, parents, like how you kind of came up? Because I think that helps us understand a little bit about what got you here.
Yeah, no, I mean, nothing out of the ordinary. I'm from Portland, Maine. I went to school, raised in Portland, Maine. The thing about me is I lived like all around New England, right? So I'm a UMass Amherst graduate. I took a year off. I lived in Maine. I went to Roger Williams in Rhode Island for law school, and then I lived back in Maine. And then I went to I moved to Connecticut with a good friend of mine who had bought a house in Connecticut from law school. Shout out to John Wetmore if you're ever listening out there, and he's a good attorney there. And then I moved to downtown New Haven, where I ended up getting most of my legal experience. I passed the Connecticut bar. I worked at the Public Housing Authority in New Haven. So I was just, you know, it was one of those things where, and this is all leading up to Lawyer Stories. Like, man, like, why is it so difficult for me? Like, why can't I get a job? Like, why don't I have a mentor who's just like taking me under their wing? Like, yeah, maybe I need to see things 2 or 3 times to learn them. And I'm not like, you know, you're a stereotypical law student, but I know once I get there, I'm going to be good. Like, I had faith in myself. I just needed some time. Right. And I just didn't have it. And that's, some people need it. Some people don't. Right. I think some people mentors are very important. I think some people just don't need them. They have enough faith in themselves where they could just take off and go. I think when I was younger, I kind of needed a little bit of guidance, and I needed to kind of think about things in a different perspective. And that perspective would have been, if I could ask myself questions like what is it that I really like about, the law? Like, where do I see myself practicing? Because I did always think I'd be a personal injury attorney. I love torts.
Okay.
Yeah, I like torts. I like product liability in school. I love law school. I love that. So anyway, I end up in New Haven working at this public housing authority. I am learning from some people like landlord-tenant law. I'm going to housing session. I'm evicting people. I'm getting them on stipulated agreements, public housing residents. A very difficult job. But really, I'm thankful. I'm grateful for that experience. Moved on to another housing authority. I don't know the housing authority theme here. It's kind of weird, but moved on to another housing authority in a different part of Connecticut. And then that was just for a year. And then I saw this job listing for something back in Massachusetts. Now, Massachusetts is appealing to me because, we have a family house in Maine, so I spend a lot of time up there in Maine. It's closer to Maine. I'm a UMass graduate. I just like the whole vibe of being back in Massachusetts. I work in Leominster, and when I found out the job was in Leominster, I literally had to sit on the couch and look at where Leominster was on the map. I remembered it from my driving to UMass from Maine, seeing, Leo Minster, but now it's Leominster. So, I finally meet a mentor there, like a housing mentor, not a lawyer, but a fantastic guy, still friends with him. He takes me in as the assistant director of a public housing authority there. And then a few years later, he ends up going to a different housing authority, and the board appointed me executive director. So here I am still at the housing authority doing, I manage people. I manage 25 people. We manage 5 public housing authorities with our kind of flagship, our main places in Leominster. And I've been there 10 years and executive director, maybe 6 years or something. So, that's sort of just in a nutshell, how I got there. And along the way, I'm just sort of wow, I'm still not, I practiced law for a little while, enough to, I got my license enough to waive into Mass and Maine. So I'm licensed in 3 states. I'm but I'm still not, I'm building lawyer stories and seeing all these people doing what they're doing. And I'm sort of on the side of it, sort of peripheral. But that's sort of, I don't know if that sort of sums it up for you, Chris. I mean, I have more inspiration for lawyer stories I can get into whenever you're ready in terms of the why and all that sort of thing. Yeah.
No, this is awesome stuff, man. So you get out of school, you're getting experience, you fall into a space, help in the housing authority. So you've mentioned mentors a few times. To me, I'll be honest, I waited too long to get a mentor, to get coaching.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. But hell no, I needed help. I just didn't know it. Talk about it sounds like you were thirsty and hungry for a mentor, right? Why? And how did that do things for you?
Yeah. And Chris, when you talk about you waited too long, I have that vision of that photo that you post sometime of you sitting in might have been a study room or something where, you've got a Nestle hat on or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It kind of spoke to the generation. I mean, I don't know if we're the same age, but it spoke to the generation for me, that you're just kind of you don't know where this journey is going to take you, and you're just kind of there, you know what I mean? And you feel like you're doing the right thing, but you just can't be sure yet.
Yes.
So, so for me, I think, I sort of mentioned, I feel like there's some kids who at a law school can just be hey, I'm a self-starter. I don't give a shit if I mess this up. I'm going to go, I'm going to just take cases and make some money. I don't care. There are other kids who sort of or maybe just me, I'll speak on behalf of myself, who might want to just learn a trade. This is how if a client, I know facts are all different to cases, but if a client comes in, this is what you do. This is intake. This is, this is how to do a pleading. This is how to take an interrogatory. This is what a deposition is like. Let me take you to it, 3 to 5 times so you know what the hell you're doing. I don't know. I just kind of feel I never met that person early on, at a smaller law firm that, that I had to, sort of follow. But it's also, I don't throw blame on anybody. I mean, that's my responsibility. I could have said, hey, I think advice that I would give somebody is, when you're in law school and you're a little unsure, like you don't know like where you're going to end up, figure out what it is you love about the law and what drove you there. Find a person who is doing exactly what you want to be doing, make friends with them, and like don't let go, until you're able to do something the way that they do it. I think, those are all things like I didn't really think of. I was just sort of told, get the degree and you'll be fine. Like that's, and it took me a while to be fine, so it's.
I'm 49. How old are you?
I'll be 47 next week.
I just feel like when we came up, right, it wasn't like mentors. Yeah, it was a thing, but coaching wasn't a thing. And like, I don't know, it was a different environment, I feel like, a little bit. There wasn't as much
I think
help out there. We're a little bit on our own, I felt like.
So I think law, and I'm not hating on my law school at all. But I think law schools can do a little more. I mean, I think like the whole mentality of like being a lawyer and going to law schools, like they put you in an environment and they want you to swim. Like they give you all this reading, they want you to swim. They give you like a writing assignment and they want you to figure it out. And that's fine because I think those skills kind of come with us to this day. Like if you're put in a situation, you figure it out. We're resourceful as lawyers and as being legally educated. But if you look at another profession like medicine, and I guess you need to have what medicine does because, you're not going to go in there and like operate on somebody like you're writing it's a little different than like writing like a pleading, like operating on somebody. But I still think, we could have a little bit more. But again, I take full responsibility. I didn't really get involved in like things that were going to like be extraordinary, like I didn't get involved in like, I did what I had to do to graduate. Like I didn't do externships. I got involved in like maybe like some sort of thing I needed to graduate with like immigration. And in fact, I've had maybe like a year ago, the dean of my law school on the podcast. And I said to him, and this was because I didn't do trial advocacy, and I should have, why not? And I said to him, I said, what if you had a student who had graduated, an alumnus, like who graduated like 15, 20 years ago, come up to you and say, hey, can I survey this class? Can I come in and do trial ad now? I never did it because I was like I was nervous about everything. Dang. Like, can I do it now? Can I come back and do it? Like, what would you say? I think I asked him that, So it really, you have to really advocate for yourself. You have to be ready for professional school. But mentor, I mean, I think a mentor would have helped me, but I'm not disappointed with where I'm at.
No, same. There was a reason we did what we did at the time. We did the best we could, right? And we found success, and so we did a lot of things well. Hey everyone, it's Chris. If you ever have a personal injury case here in Massachusetts that you can't take on, or just want to refer out to a trusted firm, my team and I would love to work with you. Since 2004. I've only practiced personal injury law, and my team and I pride ourselves on handling referrals with transparency, good communication, and care for your client. And if you're not already getting it, head on over to practicetipoftheweek.com, practicetipoftheweek.com to join my free email list. It goes out to hundreds and hundreds of lawyers each and every week with actionable marketing and practicing tips. Thanks for listening. I look forward to collaborating with you. So very interesting. You're an interesting guy because you got, you housing authority, but then lawyer stories. So I started seeing your name. I think in the pandemic, I was home more. I was hitting LinkedIn more, and I kept seeing your name. I'm like, this dude has a big following. You had like thousands and thousands. This is when I kind of was a nobody on LinkedIn, and I was like, this dude has like thousands and thousands of followers. Like, who is?
No, you're the man on LinkedIn. You went viral.
No. But this is like not too long ago, and I saw you, and then I noticed this podcast, Laura Stories podcast, which I want to get into with you. And then I reached out to you, and I was on, as you said, I was on your show. But I kind of wanted to hear, like, it's such a different thing, being, housing authority attorney than starting this movement. Like, what sparked that? Like, why did that start for you?
Yeah, I mean, look, let's be honest. Lawyer Stories did not start as the LLC it is. I mean, Lawyer Stories started as a passion project. It was a very personal project for me. It was sort of like, I've been through all this crap. Like I didn't even get a legal job. Like I'm working finally at a housing authority. I have to move states, Like I have my family's over here. I have to move states. I'm a single guy. I got to like hustle to figure it out, and I've lived all around New England. I'm like, if I have a story like about this, like if this is all part of my story, like other people must have stories, like more impactful and crazier stories, like you, Chris, and Neil and those other ones, and a lot of people out there that I've encountered. And also I saw something, I don't know if you're familiar with Humans of New York. So that came across.
It's awesome.
That came across my feed a couple times. I'm like, this is pretty cool. Like, I would love to hear lawyers speak like this in the first person, sort of telling a story about, about their experiences with the law, or like maybe like their favorite case, or like maybe their favorite, constitutional like amendment, and like how it works, and like that sort of thing. And so I started with 5 people I knew. I said, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I sent out an email with like a little sheet that said, this is what I'm doing. And I went on Instagram, and I had a nice photo of the person, and I just started building. I mean, and at the beginning it was just all photos of people and their story. Now it's more, there's like, obviously you got to change a little bit with the time. There's reels, there's some like promotions, there's podcasts, but so I just started doing it, and I kept going and people kind of got like, saw what I was doing. They're like, thought it was pretty interesting, wanted to be a part of it. Like, and, I used that when they would send me what was different between us and anybody else who was doing something. People were sending me the email with their photo, their story, their location. I wasn't taking things from other Instagram pages. Like Instagram can be known as like a copycat type of thing, right? Yeah. So I wasn't taking things from other web pages. I was literally getting them sent to me. They're still getting sent to me, and I was posting them. So through that, Chris, I was able to build and I don't know, for some reason I felt an instant connection with people who were sending me their stories. We've posted over 2,500, maybe 3,000 now. And so I felt connections with or at least I did. I don't know if they did, but I loved being able to just reach back out to these people. Or if I heard of something in their area, I'd be like, hey. And so that's how it's sort of transpired. Like it sort of grew that way, and by the time like a few years went by, I was like, I want to take this off the page. I had a little event in Miami, in Brickell, with somebody else who helped me out. And then I started the podcast in 2020. I'm like, I got to take this off the page. And once I started being a podcast host, I was like, wow, I finally found something after all these years that I freaking love doing, And so it just kind of, I don't want to say snowballed, but it kind of just kept going. And I still, we still feature people to this day. Like we love getting people's stories and sharing stories. And now we're at the point where we can actually have events, like we're having, we have our Miami event in February. We've had New York City in the spring. We did Boston in October. We're trying to get out west somehow at some point.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'd love to. But yeah, so that's basically you got to be consistent, and you have to execute as you know, with things, right?
I love that. I just want to share that, Benny's had heavy hitters. You had Ben Crump on the podcast, Gloria Allred. I reached out to Ben Crump. I can't, he's a tough get. And I actually reached out to him like, how the hell did you get him, man?
So Ben, I'll never forget when I looked down at my Instagram one day and I saw that he had liked 10 of my posts in a row. And this was a while back. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. I took a snapshot of it. Ben Crump, man, Ben Crump. Because he had huge cases, man. So,
yes.
I don't know how the connection came about, but we scheduled something. He was in a hotel room. The internet connection wasn't great, but he was super nice, complimentary, just so cool to interview. It was a few years back. And I think when we connected, he was still on the rise. He was there, but he was still... But I think he got a little more, not because of me. That's not what I'm saying. But he got more cases, and he kept growing. But yeah, that was a great interview. It was a fun interview. And he's actually messaged me maybe a year or 8 months ago. We got to do it again. And then I can't get a hold of him. So I don't know. It's difficult to get a hold of some of these people. But he was really nice. Now, Gloria Allred came to me from, I liked Lisa Bloom, her daughter. I was a fan of hers. And Lisa and I had a really good episode, and I reached out to her. I'm like, hey, do you know anybody else like sort of like famous that I could have on? And she's like, oh, did I introduce you to my mother? I'm like, no. And so she wrote a nice email, and then actually it's funny because I have it right here. I want to frame it. The email I got back from Gloria saying like something like her daughter recommended, and she was nice too. She was great. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult to get a hold of people. I mean, I still have people I'd love to get on that I don't know how to get in touch with them. You know, what's your method? Do you have a method for getting in touch with these people?
Email, but I'll keep asking. Like, I'm kind of pesky. The only reason I got John Morgan, that he was my first ever guest on my show on this podcast, was I kept asking.
Yeah.
He's like, fine. I should just reach out to him this week. Say, if you want to come back again. And so you have to ask for things. Let me ask you a question. Speaking of John
Morgan, I have his son's episode coming out tomorrow.
Oh, cool. Yeah, definitely. He fantastic guest. He dropped. I mean, I could have talked 10 hours with him. It was really.
Oh
good.
Yeah.
I'm curious. When you started this, was a passion project at first. Was there a time where you almost abandoned ship? You weren't getting enough traction, or did you see enough early on where you're like, no, I got something? Did you ever doubt it when you started?
No, because it was a passion project, and I didn't do it for any other reason but like myself, and to have this sort of like creative outlet from like my regular job. And if I ended up with like 2 friends from it, like that's fine. I still enjoy it. It wasn't really to try to make money.
Yeah,
it really wasn't. But if I don't have media kits and podcast packages, I would never see my family. I mean, I get emails from legal marketers now, and like it's like law firms all the time. And I can't take everybody, man. Like I'm not trying to sound like, hey, I'm so cool, but I'm just saying like I would never see my family if I took everybody on my show who has something that they're doing that's unique to like promote. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Totally.
But no, I never, because like I said, this is a very personal project. And even if I, had come away from it with like you and Neil, that would have meant a lot to me. You know what I mean? Like, so I never really thought about that. It was just always something that I'm like, at the beginning, I would be like, oh, wow, look at this beautiful like gallery of diverse like lawyers. This is so nice. Like all these people, and they shared their stories. And I took a lot of pride in it,
Of course.
And so I try not to really to go too far from that. I mean, even though we have sponsors and stuff now, like for the events, that's been crazy. I mean, but I try not to go too far from like that.
Yeah, that's good.
That's smart.
Which is hard as it grows. There's more opportunities.
It's hard because people are always like, oh, are you doing this full time? Are you doing this? You're doing this full time. And then sometimes they're surprised when I tell them I have like a full time job. So
how did my guy Neil Goldstein get involved? How did you guys connect?
So Neil DM'd me on Instagram, and he liked what I was doing because he was all about sharing story.
Yeah.
And then we were just like in touch a little bit. He came on the podcast, and then he told me he was taking a trip to Boston. I think he was going to see you too. And we ended up getting dinner in like the Worcester area. I live in the Worcester area, and so we got dinner in like Shrewsbury. And the minute I sat down with Neil, so my family, I'm from Portland, Maine, but my parents are from New York. Like they're New York based. So meaning they moved up to Maine like 50 years ago because my dad got being a professor. He got a job up there from New York, right? So some of my family is like New Yorkers, right? They got like the accent. So the minute I sat down with Neil, I was like, dude, I feel like you're like a long lost cousin or uncle.
Yes, yeah.
I just felt that instant, like the whole, like everything, like just the mannerisms, the accent.
I get it.
And I still feel that way. Like he feels like a cousin or like an uncle. And it was great. Like, so we just, and after that night, like after that day of just like eating food and like he brought me a book, I gave him a hat or something. I don't know. After that day, we took a nice photo. We just like been in touch. Like we text and I'm, hey, how you doing? Like what's going on? Like, do you want to go to this event? Like, let's hang out. It's like a special like relationship. He's a great guy.
I love it.
And also, Chris, I know we have a time limit, but I do want to say, and I say this at the beginning of Neil's book because I wrote the whatever you call it at the beginning.
Yes.
If I had met Neil like 20 years ago, that would have been like the mentor I needed.
100%.
And that's sort of to round it up. Like that sort of like rounds up the convo. And in a way, I mean, because I think I wrote that because he's just, I feel maybe he wouldn't have been a great mentor. I don't at the time, I don't know, but I feel like I would have connected with him, you know.
You know, I'm a big fanboy, if you will, if that's a term, you know, of Neil. Picture in the back is me reading my book to my children. I talk about this every day. I wouldn't have a book if it wasn't for Neil. He inspired me to write my book.
Yeah.
My book, Benny, has changed my world. Right.
Really?
And so like that one relationship, because you're talking about how you got to know him, like a long lost uncle. I'm from New York. I'm from Jersey, New York. That's where I grew up. And so like he's that I relate to him. He's like, you know, a guy you connect to. And so what you just said, I totally understand. But like when you get good people together doing good work, not for dough, not for money, for passion, for purpose, the thing snowballs. So I encourage the listener, you know, I was just telling law students a week ago at a bar association, do not chase money. It will run from you. Will chase your passion, chase your purpose. You'll have a happier life. Yeah, you'll get rewarded financially. Opportunities will come, but like be true to who you are. And so you haven't lost that. If you've grown this thing and I'm sure there's shiny objects, like opportunities that are coming your way now. It's like, that's not true to this core purpose of sharing. And so I encourage attorneys, you gotta subscribe, listen to Lawyer Stories. You gotta subscribe and listen to that One Lawyer podcast. These are two guys, Neil Goldstein, getting after
Thank you so much.
Good people. So I, in all frankness, have to get my kid to the train.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you, we have a few minutes left. Like, what's the future of Lawyer Stories? Like, what do you have in store? What's your vision for tomorrow?
Yeah, just keep building, keep doing what I'm doing. Share as many stories as possible, be as visible as possible, tell as many lawyers as possible what we're doing. Encourage them to share their stories, especially with Lawyer Stories. Connect with me. I love it. It keeps me going. More events. You know, I get so excited for events, Chris. Like, I can't even tell you.
I went to your Boston event. I had a really good time, man.
Thank you. Yeah.
Great people. You did a nice job of putting it together. I connect with people I've never met. We met in person for the first time. And it's really, you got to get out of the office, right? A lot of lawyers don't.
And I was pumped to see you because when people that I've connected with come through that door, it's it's such a cool feeling, you know, like, especially if I've had them on the podcast and I see them, I'm like, hey, like, it's such a cool feeling. And one thing I will say about you and Neil, I know we've talked about Neil, you guys should be very proud. I mean, you have quintessential lawyer stories. And everybody's got a different story. It doesn't matter what you've done or how you got there or whatever. We all have a story. And you and Neil have very interesting stories that I think people really need to take account of.
We need to share stories. Lawyers, you know, you have to share your stories in your marketing with your team, with juries, like share stories. That's why you get traction from this, was just people sharing stories, because we crave that as people. We need stories. It's how we connect with each other, right? I'm so happy we had this conversation. I could talk with you, you know, for 3 more hours, frankly.
It's great. I'm really glad to reconnect with you, Chris. And anytime you need anything, give me quick dad advice. I have a 4 and my son's going to be 7 in January 1st.
Well, I think you have it figured out on that. But how is there a way to like buy more of your time? Is there a way to like you need something that you're doing that's holding you up from having even more time? Because I see you on Insta, I see you on social, you're very involved, but like, is there any way, you know, that's mine. It's like, how do I get more time? That's my advice. But it sounds like you're a lot of time. Like, I'm always like, how can I get more time? Like, to me, like, I'm about to drive my kids to the train for school. It's important to me, right? But you're doing so well, man. I'm just so proud.
Thanks, man.
Is there anything in Boston in the future, or that's not?
Oh yeah, we're going to try to do it like every usually the fall. I'm trying to get on a rotation, quarterly rotation. Yeah. We haven't hit the West Coast yet. That's the next big thing. But we've done 3. We're doing like 3. The last 2 years we've done like 3. So
triangle.
Triangle right now. Yeah, whatever's manageable.
I'm so excited for you. Keep doing your thing.
Thinking about Miami just gets me through these Massachusetts snowy days, man.
This is dark. It's totally pitch black at 7 a.m.
Hey, go Celtics. Thanks again, man.
Benny, I appreciate it. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you, brother. Hey, just super quick, how can people get in touch with you? I know you're not hard to find, but how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, on Instagram, lawyer_stories. Just search Lawyer Stories, Benny Gold. Our website's beautiful. Shout out to law firm sites. It's thelawyerstories.com.
I love it. That's so fantastic. Benny, thank you so much. And again, for the updating time, don't stop what you're doing. Keep going. This is an important thing that lawyers need. This community is you're just getting started. So keep on going, man. So happy and proud.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, Chris.
No, thank you.
Have a great day.
You too. Thank you, sir. So that's it for this episode of The Earley Show. Be sure to check out more episodes of our show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the Answering Legal YouTube channel. And if you haven't already, make sure you sign up for my practice tip of the week. Head on over to practicetipoftheweek.com. There's over 1,000 lawyers that get a weekly email from me on Friday mornings on a practice tip, which I share to hopefully help you have a happier, more productive, more lucrative career with more purpose and fulfillment. That's it for this episode. Answering Legal, you guys rock. Thank you so much for your support. Have a great day, guys. Thank you.